Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Johnston. I'm one of the principals here at Lantern, part of the Artist Studio. And today, we're going to be providing this webinar that's going to be focused on supercharging your apps with AI, and talking from strategy all the way to deployment and a few things in between as well. Kind of, really giving you a good practical guide to enable AI in your apps. And so we've got a few agenda items I wanted to cover. First, we're going to talk about this concept as we build and modernize our intelligent apps. This concept of digital leadership and how it really pertains to becoming an AI ready organization, right? Then we're going to dig into kind of bringing together the power of AI and data, creating business value and examples of different AI powered apps. We're going to kind of take a step back and we're going to say, hey, all this AI stuff, right? We've got a lot of things changing in the industry, from a lot of buzz around AI, and what does all of this mean, right? And so we'll kind of just make sure we level set on some of those terms and terminologies, and then dive into, excuse me, some critical success factors as well, from strategy and readiness, and then finally we'll kind of close it down with security, and really, we get these questions all the time, right? From a security and governance and this perspective, we want to make sure that your data is safe, and we'll kind of make sure we cover off on those points as well to reassure everyone why it's going to be safe and some of the things that Microsoft has in place from that perspective. And then we'll kind of close down with some quick start options and open it up for Q&A. As well. Perfect. So this kind of brings us to our first poll question, which is, how would you rate your current familiarity with AI? And so we've got some options here. Hopefully the poll will launch, and if not, yep, there it comes. Whether you're a novice or beginner, advanced or expert, would love to kind of just get everyone's feedback on that. Perfect. So we got some good results coming in. So, I think for this next section, as we kind of get into this, talking more about intelligent apps and leveraging AI and data as part of your apps, I think we're going to hand this over to Igmigdio to talk about intelligent apps and AI. So, Igmigdio, the floor is yours.
All righty, thank you so much. And let's see here if we can get to the first slide here. Very good. Okay. All right. So as you probably all know, generative AI has fundamentally changed the way that we can accomplish with software, as well as has changed our expectations of what software should be moving forward. It is driving tremendous adoption of services. We're seeing this every day. It is reshaping industries. It is also prompting organizations to consider how they can use AI and how they can actually implement that with digital products, services, experiences that they can create, etc. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So we've seen huge shifts like this before. Think about the time when the cloud and mobile first started, just not too long ago. And just as leaders embrace both of those technologies, we'll see leaders of tomorrow creating new opportunities and highly differentiated business value throughout the broad of adoption of AI in the future.
One of the concepts that we wanted to make sure that we introduce here is this concept of digital leadership, right? And through the broad adoption of AI, and especially generative AI, right, we're going to see massive changes in apps. Apps are both the business critical and on the digital front for many businesses, and so it's what powers a lot of our businesses, right? And so in many ways, almost every company is a software company, and now. Almost every company will be an AI company too, right? And there was this book published called Future Ready, And it was some research done by MIT, and it was able to break companies into these different quadrants, right? If you look at the x-axis, we're talking about operational efficiency from traditional to transformed. And on the y-axis, they broke customers out into traditional and transformed as well there. And they were able to really, categorize these companies from, categorizing them as silos and spaghetti, meaning that they had data in all kinds of silos and their processes were really spaghettified, very inefficient from that perspective. And about half of all the firms surveyed fell into this category, right? And it resulted in lower efficiency, right? So they had a negative 7.9% margin compared to their peers, right? As you move up the customer experience axis, you get firms that have invested in a better user experience for their customers. It still may be a little bit silos and spaghetti behind the scene, but the customer experience was much, much better, and they closed that margin gap. And about 20% of firms fell into this category. On the industrialized, on that operational efficiency axis, as you move kind of out towards the transformed customers there, you had companies that really invested in their data platform and their applications, and about 7% of firms fell into this. They had very mature processes. But only those customers that really treated data and their apps as a strategic asset, right? Those were considered those future or AI-ready digital leaders, and enjoyed the freedom to experiment with AI and to embed AI into their applications. And about 22% of firms fell into this category and enjoyed about a 19.3% margin. So it was a very interesting, this kind of research that came out, and in something that we've been using to really showcase to our customers just how impactful becoming a digital leader and making your environment future ready. So I'll pass it back over to Migdio to continue on here.
Excellent, thank you. So as we were talking about, and through the broad adoption of AI, especially around generative AI, we're going to see massive changes in the applications in the future. Apps are both the business critical digital front for many businesses, and what powers so much of our businesses today. In many ways, almost every company is a software company, and we see that every day in our conversations with customers. And now almost every company will be an AI company too. 83% of decision makers plan to increase their AI spend this year. And this mattered for your applications because it is apps that the power of AI is truly realized in the eyes of your of your users and also of your customers as well. Okay. So let's pause for a moment, and let's talk a little bit about what we mean by intelligent apps. Intelligent apps are software solutions and applications that are built with modern application development principles and architectures. And by that, I mean microservices based, and PaaS services that use AI and leverage the data and analytics to offer responsive and personalized, and as well as highly differentiated user experiences. Intelligent apps are applicable to pretty much any industry or sector available out there. They can be internal, they can be line of business applications, they can also be customer-facing applications. AI has actually brought intelligence to applications for many years, and now generative AI is radically changing the possibilities for intelligent apps. And let me give you some quick examples. User interactions based on natural language. We can now interact with applications more naturally than ever before. There are also hyper-personalized experiences based on real-time data and applications that can understand our context based on richer and more immediate data. And with the cloud, app design can be more flexible, it can be more adaptable, and again, responding to more user needs today. So how can we use intelligent applications to drive your business? There are many benefits that the intelligent apps can offer to your business. First of all, it means that you can outpace competition. You can ride by delivering, innovative new applications. We can also amplify employee capabilities, and you can increase developer productivity, for example. You can also scale your business and future-proof. And finally, they give you the ability to future-proof is possible because you're leveraging AI right now or not. So how do you get started? You can modernize existing applications and integrate new capabilities into those, or you can actually build brand new applications that are leveraging some of those AI capabilities. Doing either of these things require a cloud platform, you need a data scale, and finally, a pre-trained and responsible AI. So strategize for business differentiation. So there is so much going on across the global economy and technology landscape right now that it can be very difficult to focus and also to strategize. From an AI perspective, there are four key ways that Microsoft Azure is breaking down the environment today. And let me just talk to you a little bit about those. So the first one is how AI can actually be infused into unique applications that you already built or that you're planning on building. How AI can amplify the productivity of developers building these applications. New methods and tools making software developer easier for everyone, and also keeping a solid cloud foundation at the center of it all. So we just talk about being future ready. So whether you are modernizing or building applications, it is very important to think about the future, because even if you're not leveraging AI right now, you will want to be able to do that effectively in the future. And for that, you're going to need to have modern cloud native applications built with some sound principles. Cloud app platform, data at scale, and pre-trained and responsible AI. These are the building blocks for any intelligent apps today. You need an application platform that enables continuous innovation and delivery, supports microservices architectures, and also can scale as the application grows. For data, you'll need to deliver exceptional performance, meet any demand from low traffic to massive spikes that you can experience at different times, and also handle unpredictable traffic patterns that you can experience from time to time, and be able to manage a variety of data types, including unstructured data like rich media, sensor data, documents, and more. The last building block is pre-trained and responsible AI. And what that means is that having access to the foundation models, which you can customize along with responsible AI tooling and standards from Microsoft, and the ability to deploy these models and capabilities in a very flexible way. These three elements, when deployed together correctly, are the essential foundation for building and modernizing an intelligent app. So let's get into what intelligent apps we can build. So while there are tons of different types of applications available out there, we see a core of use cases pop up over and over and over for intelligent apps. And these use cases are applicable to any industry and sector, as well as they have unique requirements and take the advantage of the essential foundation of a cloud app platform, data scale, and the pre-trained responsible AI that we've been talking about. Some of the top use cases for intelligent apps are connected smart products, transaction processing at scale, which is often paired with fraud detection, personalization and recommendations, interactive service and support, information and product discovery, and other vast amount of data. And you can also build your own copilot. As you probably have heard from Microsoft employees in the past talking to you about the different copilots that we have, which is an emerging use case made possible with Azure OpenAI service. And there are many, many more as well. So how can you realize the power of intelligent apps? First of all, you need to achieve the outcomes that you want to by considering, the people, the process, the technology, and Microsoft and our partners like Lantern can help you with those three facets as well. As an organization, transformation to use AI ourselves in working with our partners and customers, we believe that there are three types in this journey to harness the power of AI and the intelligent apps for your business. First of all, having the right skills. Microsoft can help you with that, with training and enablement of your teams. Number two, it will be updating your process to embrace modern methodologies, using modern app development processes to enable agile development, making sure that you have security by default, being able to handle any data, and to make sure that you're applying AI responsibly. And finally, leveraging the right technology. Whether that's building new or modernizing an existing apps, there is a recommended tech stack to enable you to use in those cases. So there are many ways to build and modernize applications, but Microsoft has recommended a tech stack. In fact, these products in this stack are powering most of our largest use cases that we have seen out there. When building new intelligent applications, we recommend Azure Kubernetes, Azure Cosmos DB, and Azure AI services that will help you actually to have your teams be scalable, flexible, fast, and also to provide you with high performance applications. If you are modernizing applications, then your top tier should also go either to Azure Kubernetes services or you can use an app service. For data, we recommend Cosmos DB or Azure SQL for .NET. Applications that are built with SQL Server databases and Azure databases for PostgreSQL for apps using Oracle databases. That will be the recommendation that we will have. In all cases, you'll be able to add an AI capability to your modernized application and Azure AI services such as Azure OpenAI services. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to, I believe, Jeff or Paul.
No, I'm going to take this. Hey, everyone. Paul Huggins. I lead our AI and apps practice here at Lantern. And what I wanted to transition to for the next few minutes is thinking about how we can realize and understand what successful AI supercharged applications look like. So what we're going to do before we get started, we need to understand what our outcomes here look like. Every successful use case that we deliver and that we see in the industry has these three main things: an identified challenge, an outcome that you want to perceive or you want to drive to, and then an impact. How does that drive our business? What are the KPIs we're tracking along the way to make sure that we're meeting these, to make sure that we're achieving some of these goals that we have set out there for ourselves? So we have two real world use cases that we want to bring that were successful in their own right. The first one we're going to talk about is really kind of in an Indio slide, is really one of the personalization recommendation ways to supercharge applications. And this is one that we developed with a leading greeting card designer, really to drive to hyper personalization within applications using AI. And for this use case, that kind of set the stage, it was really designed around how can we, knowing the customer, use these AI technologies, have a natural language conversation with this person, and really drive towards a personalized greeting card from a textual perspective and an image perspective. So how can we, using our application we already have built, leverage new and evolving AI technologies to drive to that hyper-personalization? And the example I'll give you is, if you go to the store to pick out a greeting card, you may see 100 out there and you may see 20 that are kind of relevant to what you want it to say, the scenario, the use case you're going through, but it's not perfect. And by using these tools, these AI tools inside of applications, we can garner information about the consumer potentially. We can have a natural language conversation, a dialogue with this person using AI tools to really figure out what is the core, what is really the thing we're trying to express here via this card, and leverage image generation tools, textual generation technology, excuse me, all inside of this application to create for you that perfect card that really suits what you want it to do. So when we think about this whole supercharging apps with AI, this is an example where this application already existed in some shape or form, but we're taking it to the next level. We're bringing in personalization. We're bringing in customer nuances. We're bringing in all these different flavors of data and leveraging that with AI to really drive to this hyper-personalized, this unique outcome that they're not going to get anywhere else and would not be achievable without this unique, harmony between apps and AI. The next one we're going to look at is designed around how can we really empower employees and empower teams using applications and AI. This one we developed for a leading research university, and the goal for them was we have all this data out there. We have an application that kind of surfaces some of this data to our teams, but it's very basic. It's very kind of nuanced. It's not really useful to a lot of team members. How can we take this into this era of AI, into this next level using some of these tools? So we worked with this team really to take their kind of homegrown application and bring it into the forefront of their organization, of their enterprise, to where this application using AI can now talk to information all across the organization, both inside of their walls and outside of their walls, so that they can now empower their data, empower their teams, light up this unique combination, and innovate faster, drive to results faster, increase their efficiencies as they go through this process of whatever that they might be doing. But really kind of thinking it through of how can we take maybe an existing application that we have out there or a new one that we have the idea to create, and how can we infuse it with AI, whether it is using AI to touch multiple data sources, bring that information back, provide recommendations, provide personalization. There's a lot of different things that we can do with this unique technology stack with supercharging apps and AI. So we bring these to the forefront really to kind of get you thinking about ways that you can do this. Do this, two examples that we have. But I hope that through the rest of this discussion that we have, you're going to think of more ways where you guys can take AI and take apps and bring it all together to create really unique and personalized outcomes. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Now that we have this background, teeing up these concepts, right? Let's make sure we are all on the same page and we have the same understanding of kind of what we're talking about when we mention AI, right? There's been a lot of change and innovation in the space over the last few years. And so we want to just make sure we're kind of all on the same page, right? And I think the key thing to understand is that AI is not really new, right? It's been around for a long time, but there's been an evolution of new innovations that we've seen in recent years, right? And so, AI is an umbrella term that gets really overused in a lot of respects by marketing and the media and so on, and it's used to characterize a lot of different sub-disciplines. And so, to practitioners, these things are very different, right? And so this goes all the way back to the 50s when rules-based algorithms began to emerge, right? This is when, kind of the first computer science-based intelligent machines started to evolve. And then in the late 90s, we started to really see machine learning algorithms start to become popularized and enjoy broad adoption with supervised and unsupervised and reinforcement learning, right? With the emergence of the cloud, right, it really started to unlock a lot of the deep learning that went on to accelerate workloads like image classification and natural language processing. And then a couple of years ago, we saw this new concept of generative AI. So this is kind of something new where, these AI models were able to actually generate new content, right? It wasn't just predicting what a future data point might be, or clustering a set of customers together because they have similar characteristics. It was actually creating new content, whether it was text or audio or visual images and video, right? And that really is why a lot of the buzz has been happening of late around AI, is because of these new models and work that OpenAI, ChatGPT have been popularizing and really going mainstream with this. So when we think about on this next slide here, which kind of AI is right for your application, right? We kind of categorize things into three distinct groups. The traditional machine learning with predictive analytics, taking existing data points, historical data, and predicting future data points with your traditional machine learning algorithms. Then taking that and prescribing operational steps, almost like a next best action to take for the users of the application, right? And so, really making sure that you go from prediction to action, right, with prescriptive analytics. And then finally, that category again of generative AI, where we're using natural language to generate net new content that hasn't existed before, whether it's along the lines of text, image, audio, and video. So, so when we then kind of going to the next slide here, we have all these different categories of AI, but then how does it become real, for your organization, right? How does it affect my aspect of the business? And I think one way you can think about this is along the 4 pillars of digital transformation, right? Whether you're trying to optimize operations, like Walmart has done, with the integration of their big data solutions, and help optimize their supply chain and inventory control, and using predictive analytics to anticipate stock levels, or getting closer to the customer, like Starbucks has done, where they're using mobile apps and machine learning to offer personalized ordering, payment options, loyalty rewards, really, excuse me, improving the customer experience and increasing sales. Netflix is a great example of empowering employees, right? Where they're able to create, AI-infused dashboards and applications to really empower content creators and marketers and strategists to really understand audience preferences, trends, and enable them to tailor their content to those strategies accordingly. And then finally, transforming products, right? Nike's a great canonical example of this, where they went from just being a shoe and clothing manufacturer to really digitizing and providing a digital experience through apps and tracking workouts and even going as far as enabling an interactive experience on their website to where customers could design their own products and then have those manufactured through digital fabrication techniques as well. So these are all ways to kind of help really make it real for your organization as you start to think about this in terms of what this means to you. So this brings us to our next poll question, which is, which AI use case category holds the most potential for your organization? So whether it's optimized operations, engaging new customers, or getting closer to your customers, empowering employees, or transforming products. So we'll let everybody get those responses in. Perfect. Optimizing operations is typically the most popular here, so it's great to see that you guys are also thinking about it in other ways also. Well, perfect. So as we move on here, let's talk a little bit about some critical success factors in making sure that we can enable AI within your applications in your organization. And so, now we've kind of provided this baseline. Let's start to kind of really think about some ways from a strategy perspective that we can make this happen. And so the first thing we want to talk about is maybe how we classify these different use cases so we can prioritize them and begin to execute on them. And one of the frameworks that we apply in this case is, and there's several out there, but one to think about, it's great, is the horizon-based framework. I believe McKinsey was the ones who originally came up with this. And so, to be able to group projects into 3 horizons, Horizon 1 kind of being one that's focused on optimizing core business operations. Horizon 2 is where you start to look out and these are use cases that start to help you grow or improve your market position relative to your peers. And Horizon 3 is really the transformative use cases and workloads where really changes your market position, potentially introducing new revenue streams, new products, or even new markets, excuse me, that you might enter into. And so these are all great ways to categorize this along the way. And all along the way, you're evolving your data estate, evolving your applications, and also increasing your potential to be disruptive in the marketplace, which is a good thing because that can lead to a competitive advantage. So as we go to the next slide, I think it's good to make sure we map these use cases to the overall framework, right? And I think we can go ahead and build out this slide a little bit. And so, it's really important to understand that there's no wrong place to start along this spectrum. It's really just, the only wrong thing to do is not start, right? We want to make sure we start thinking about how we can infuse AI into our applications, because your competitors are already starting down this path, right? And so it's important to kind of make sure that we frame this up properly. And it's also helpful to grow your capabilities as we move along and move up from incremental to aspirational along this matrix. And so we typically encourage folks, if you haven't gotten started yet with an AI workload or AI use case as part of your applications, that you start small, right? And build on that so that you can start to establish a foundation of trust inside the organization. And as we kind of build to the next piece of this, going to Horizon 2, moving towards the transformational workloads inside your organization. And as you all go all the way out to Horizon 3, this is really where the lasting competitive advantage comes in, and you really create custom models. You may start off in Horizon 1 with more buy versus build scenarios, but as you get towards Horizon 3, this is really where a lot of the build scenarios come into play for your organization, and you're infusing AI into those apps. Because a lot of these custom models people cannot replicate easily, and that's what reinforces that competitive advantage. And so as we go on to the next slide here, what AI, when we're infusing AI into our applications, it really requires us to think about how we measure these outcomes a little bit differently than traditionally, maybe when we first created those applications, right? It may be that we had a net present value or a internal rate of return calculation that we used to measure the success of the application. But because AI may be, introducing new business models or new revenue streams or those types of things, it really requires us to kind of think differently about how we measure the outcomes of AI, because really it could be truly transforming our business or a business process related to that application. And so we've got some examples on the next slide here of, some KPIs, some sample KPIs and clear value drivers. I'm not going to drain this slide. This is just here for reference because I do want to make sure we get through all the content here. Excuse me. And so as we kind of move into, this next section regarding critical success factors, right? It's always good to make sure that we ensure that our team is ready to embrace AI. And so Microsoft had created this maturity model. And so, whereas the horizon-based framework allowed us to identify use cases, do I choose door number 1 or do I choose door number 2? Once we've picked a use case, we want to start making it real, right? And start this journey of executing on this first use case. So understanding where you are in this AI journey is critical to that success. So this will really help you prioritize your activities and determine, exactly when you have a go or no go decision as part of this process. So whether you're early in the process at the foundational level, you're kind of questioning how we can apply AI. Maybe you have some wrong expectations or some disappointments that you've seen. Maybe you're just at the basics of understanding. Or maybe you're at the approaching level where you're hopeful on AI and its promise. You've got some digital transformation efforts underway, and you're looking to, you're kind of cautious about the disruptive potential, but you'd think that it does have promise, right? Moving into aspirational, maybe you've already experimented a little bit with AI, right? It looked like some folks had some pretty good experience with AI so far. So maybe your business has a high degree of digitization. Your apps are very mature, and you've kind of got a data-driven culture or an AI-ready culture that is ready to embrace AI at a broader level. And then, from a maturity perspective, perhaps you've got data science teams that have operational capabilities, and you're ready to just, embrace AI fully across many different use cases. So this kind of brings us to our next poll question. So where's your company on this maturity curve? Are you at the foundational level, or are you all the way to the right at the very mature level? This launched here. Now people can vote. All right, getting a good mix. Excellent. So after you kind of know where you are on the maturity curve, right, we can start to focus on building up your capabilities, right? It's always good to really start to understand your business drivers, right? Always go back to the business drivers, right? If you've got an existing application, you're going to infuse AI into that. Understand exactly why, from a business perspective, you're doing that. Not that it's just a cool feature, to add, right? AI sometimes requires specific skill sets. There's a lot of different, services that Emigdio mentioned earlier that could be, a part of the technology stack. So understanding what those skill sets are, identifying those skill set gaps, and then preparing a strategy to hire and train existing employees or partner with companies like Lantern, as a shameless plug, to help you accelerate those workloads. Then making sure that we evaluate and coach and mentor those employees. I think, probably stating the obvious here, but then, making sure you recognize that it's a hot market, and recognizing those employees for their great work, evangelizing that success as you enable those AI capabilities within those applications. Those are things that are extremely important to make sure that we retain those key players as part of the team. So what roles are required? We have a particular, application, and we're ready to infuse AI into this application. What roles are required for the success of this endeavor? So making sure that we have a leader, somebody that's the business champion. There may be certain domains that, we're needing to specialize on. And so having a domain expert in that particular problem domain certainly is encouraged. And we encourage you to start with a small team. It doesn't have to be a big team. Start small, crawl, walk, run, right? But a couple of other roles, make sure you have an application developer and an AI engineer along the way. Those roles will certainly help ensure that this is a great starting point. A small team of 3 to 5 is probably appropriate as a minimum to get started. And then, once your POC or your pilot completes as part of this, and make sure you really evangelize those results and pass out awards and all of that stuff to try to really get people excited about these new capabilities. On this next slide, if you're wondering where you can go to really help accelerate your AI skills, I want to make sure to take a moment and plug Microsoft Learn. This is a free resource that provides role-specific learning paths. And so Microsoft has invested a lot in this great resource, and our clients and our own team has found this very valuable from that perspective. And we've highlighted a few, role-based paths that would be important to this audience. And so I want to just make sure that encourage you to check this out when you get a chance. We'll be sure to pass out this deck after the presentation so that you can have these links and make that happen. So this brings us to our next poll question. Which area do you feel you have the biggest readiness gap? And let's see, there we go. Is it around your AI ready culture? Is it around skilling? Use case identification is usually a good one. Is it the data platform or application platform or all the above? All the above. Perfect. So now we're going to transition to start talking about security, privacy, and governance. I'm going to actually bring Paul Huggins back in to talk about these pieces specifically around security. Paul?
All right, thanks, Jeff. I think one of the questions that we get asked almost immediately into discussions with clients is, how can I be sure that my data that I put into Azure OpenAI or these Azure tools aren't being fed back to train other models? I'm not going to have my data leaked on some website 6 months from now. How can I have confidence in that? And we stand behind Microsoft on this one of how they've designed these tools. Everything you put inside of these systems lives inside of your organization, in your tenant, in your area. It's not like they get fed back to other customers. They don't get fed back and sold for third-party products. They don't get back and retrain any of the models. Everything you put into these systems in that regard stays in your environment, stays in your area, and Microsoft has a very strong commitment to that and a very strong stance on that. So that's not going to be changing anytime. And I think how this is really impactful is when you start to use these AI models in your ecosystem, in your environment, you essentially are given like a stateless version of that, or you can go and fine tune it. Even if you fine tune it, that fine tuned model is not sent back anywhere. So we say all this really so you guys can have confidence when you use the Azure OpenAI suite or the Azure suite of AI tools, that anything that you put into these systems is highly secured, highly governed, highly regulated, and it's not being then used to feed back or train anything else downstream without your knowledge or without you agreeing to that type of thing. With that, I think I'll pass it right back to Jeff to take us home, some of the key strategies.
Perfect, Paul. Yeah, I think as we talk about these key takeaways, for this session, and you can go ahead and build this out, John, but yeah, identifying use cases to really unlock the business value. We can help you do that through something like an AI ideation workshop. Start small, measure wins. I've mentioned that a few times. Making sure that you don't have to boil the ocean from the beginning. We can start with a POC. We can move to pilot and production. A lot of people are testing the waters, trying to understand just exactly how whether it's traditional machine learning or generative AI can be infused into their applications and really provide value to whoever their target audience is. Know where you are in this journey, right? Assess your skill sets. Assess your organization's readiness and know where you want to go, perhaps through a roadmap or a journey for your application as you spell that out. And I think building on a strong foundation, modernize your data and application platforms, if they're not already there, is key to that success. And whether it's through Azure and ML or OpenAI, I think have the confidence that your data is secure. And I think that will go a long way into making sure that the users of your application have confidence in using the application as well. So, I think understanding all of these things, how do we get started quickly on this, right? And so we can help you from that perspective. We have a 3-phased approach. that can help really jumpstart your AI readiness on this journey and achieve that long-term value, right? And so we've got an offer here that you guys can take advantage of. Whether it's a 4-hour discovery session or moving in right into an MVP to really get this going, all the way to really longer term building, securing, and scaling your platform. We can certainly have skill sets. We've got a lot of great use cases, a lot of experience that we can help accelerate your journey in this regard. So I think now we'll kind of take some time we've got about 12 minutes or so left to transition to Q&A if anyone has any questions.
Feel free to come off mute and ask your question or throw it in the chat, whatever you like better. I'll scroll up past all these poll results, make sure I didn't miss anything. Looks good. I appreciate a thumbs up.
Perfect. And if there's no questions, then we can give you a few minutes back. But we appreciate everyone's time. Emigdio, any closing comments?
No, once again, thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to be with us today. Hopefully, this is a session that has been good for you guys to understand a little bit more about what our thoughts are and what potential next steps we can take to help you out. So feel free to reach out to me anytime you have any questions, and we'll make sure to help you out in any way we can. So thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it, and also to the Lantern team too.
Emigdio, just real quick, I think we do have a late question that came into the chat. So Paul,
okay,
do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I think the question is talk more about building your own Copilot. I think there are a lot of ways to accomplish that. One of the key things that Microsoft has out there now is Copilot Studio. So we talk about kind of taking that pre-built Copilot to the next level. That's really one way to accomplish that. Copilot Studio is a great way to kind of fine tune it to make your own instructions for the AI systems to help you leverage some more out of the box technologies, even more data sources to bring into the Copilot ecosystem. That's kind of the first path, is that Copilot Studio. And then there's also the more custom development path, the more custom app dev path, where you can kind of create it from scratch and build your own with as many connections as you want, as many data sources as you want, kind of to harken back to the use case we showed about the research university. That was more of the custom built Copilot. That was one that was leveraging hundreds of thousands of millions of different data sources out there and bringing all that, servicing all that data up. So there's kind of multiple ways to approach that. One being the regular Copilot, second being Copilot Studio, and third kind of being that custom build your own from scratch standpoint.
And Paul, there was a follow-up question there as well by Eva on, how would that work? As in, would it be trained on internal data?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the word training there can be a misnomer in some senses. So I want to talk about that for a second. When we talk about training our own models, that can be very cost prohibitive. Not to say it's not important, but I think there's different approaches to take. One, if you're familiar with it, is called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, where you're not training your own model, but you're allowing it to touch different files out there, to touch your internal data and bring that information back. That's kind of the naive approach to it. The further you get onto the training path, it becomes more complex. So the next step up from that RAG is what's known as fine tuning, or maybe few shot prompting, where you give it a few examples and I say, hey, I want you to respond like this, or I want you to know about this thing in particular, and here is the knowledge base I want you to have, and kind of fine tune it that way. And then you can go fully trained, or you're actually building one from scratch, or really like redefining how it works from a transformer perspective. So when we say train, it's kind of three different approaches to that, varying levels of complexity, very different levels of cost involved in that, of either just kind of having it know your data, being able to touch your data, and then really training it on your data. So it's a great question of how you can do that for internal data.
And we did get one more question in here too. If I feed my company internal data to Copilot generative AI, is it secure?
Yeah, I'll let Emilio chime in on this one if he wants to, but I think anything inside of the Microsoft ecosystem, if it's your Copilot, then yes, it is secure in your environment, in your, in your tenant, in your organization. That's exactly, that's the one question we always get with clients is, can I actually put something in here, or is it going to be leaked 6 months from now? And we say with a resounding yes, anything you put into the Microsoft AI suite of tools for that, Copilot or custom Copilot, regardless, yes, it is secure. Great questions, though.
Any other questions? We're on a roll. I love it. Looks like we got
Was
one
another
more.
question?
Yep. This may not be in scope for today, but do you know if the different Copilot versions will have more consistency over time?
Yeah, I take a stab at that one, and then asking Emilio to chime in from that perspective. But I would say yes. I think as these things get more hardened, more robust, more rolled out to broader audiences, and more people use them, then yes, they will gain more consistency over time. But I would be curious to know what you mean by consistency as well in that regard. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. And Emilio, do you want to chime in on that one as well?
Yeah, so that is the plan, basically. I mean, the company has been focusing a lot on the copilots, and we are, we started this journey, a year or so ago, and the copilots are getting better and better, the more we use them, So yeah, eventually, this is the plan, and we're trying to do everything we can, to make it as consistent as possible. So yeah, it's not a problem at all. That's the direction that we're going.
And looks like we may have one more coming through. All right. Copilot for Excel is unable to analyze text data, but pasting that same table to Word, you'll get good results. Copilot Edge can identify imagery, Copilot PowerPoint cannot. I think that's the consistency piece.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's the evolution of the tools is all it is. But I appreciate that, Eva.
Yeah. And we've got a request, not maybe a question. I want to use Power Apps with Copilot.
You're not alone. So I think we've done a few things in that regard with Power Apps. We haven't, I'd say, seen them directly just call a Copilot, for example, but there are ways around that if you kind of can read between the lines and customize some of that on the Power App side of things. But I don't know from a roadmap perspective if Microsoft or if you have any thoughts on when that might be fully integrated, if integrated.
Yeah, that I don't know. I will have to get back to you guys in regards to that. So.
Yeah, but there are ways to leverage generative AI technologies inside of Power Apps. It just wouldn't be straight through the Copilot frame.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate everyone joining us.